Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Monday Night Live. I'm Michelle Stuchel, Sapphire Ambassador, and we have such a great call for you tonight because I'm going to be interviewing our two newest jewels, Emily Haas and Deirdre Goulard, on their road to Emerald. And I am so excited. I can just about burst because I cannot wait for you to hear their amazing stories. And I know you're going to be inspired because you can do this too, because what we have, it's not a matter of if this works. It's just a matter of will you decide to do what it takes to get there. And both of these women are just like you, but they have grit. They made a decision, and come hell or high water, they decided that they would not quit. And they have both overcome incredible circumstances. There was no easy button, and you're just going to love it. And I cannot wait for you to learn and hear about their stories. But first, I want to share a little bit about my story because last month I ranked up to Sapphire, which was incredibly exciting for me and my whole team. And I'm actually getting a little teary-eyed thinking about it right now. And I want to share with you first my journey. So I'm going to share my screen and I want to show you my points from when I started and my point journey. And it's really not very pretty, but at least you'll see the graph. So share screen. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, hopefully you can share my screen. That's mine. Okay, so you can see this. Deirdre, can you see that? Can you give me a thumbs up? Can you see the graph? Okay, cool. So I joined in April of 2017 and oh, whoops. Right there is May. May, I thought I went silver in May, but apparently I only had 5 points. And in June, I had 55 points. We had no senior silver. July, I hit gold. So what, 3 months later, 2 months later, I hit gold. And you can see that I kind of stayed about gold for a really long time. And then in June of 2018, I hit, let's see, I guess that would have been ruby. That was the next year. And then I stayed around this level, and I want you to know something. Do you see how after every major rank, there was a dip? I would hit a major rank and I would dip. I never maintained rank until Emerald. And I want you to see, based on this graph, what this shows you is consistency over time pays off. Look at this trend. It goes up very subtly, and then boom, it went up. Boom, it went up. But guess what? There was no just, this is the popcorn effect. And you will see this with Deirdre's points. You will see this with Emily's points. Consistency over time pays off. And Brittany's the one that shared this popcorn effect with me. She's so smart. Have any of you made a bag of microwave popcorn? You put the bag of microwave popcorn in, you turn on the microwave, and nothing seems to be happening for the longest time, right? Until one kernel pops, and then another kernel pops, and then another kernel pops, and then another kernel pops. And then all of a sudden, it goes crazy. Do you see? It goes crazy. And at the end of that time, you have a bag of incredible popcorn, salty, buttery popcorn that you will enjoy. That is consistency over time when you are not giving up and when you continue to do the right things. I hit Emerald in May of 2020, and Emerald was the first rank that I maintained. Let me say that again. Emerald was the first rank that I maintained. And I maintained and flirted with Sapphire several months. Okay, let me stop sharing this now, and then you can just see my face. Okay, I flirted with Sapphire several months. Now, let me tell you what happened, because you saw on that graph, there were several months that I was pretty darn close to the 3,000 mark. I was over 2,000 points for almost a year, okay? And I thought in last October that I was going to hit Sapphire, and that didn't happen. I mean, I was like 2,700 points, and I did not hit it. And then my points started going backwards. And I did what a lot of us can do. Instead of keeping my eyes right in front of me, I looked to the left and to the right. And then I looked at myself. And instead of saying that I had a stable business and instead of being grateful for what I had, I thought that I was stuck, and I believed a lie that I couldn't duplicate. I couldn't raise up leaders. And I camped out on a lie for a really long time. And so guess what happened? My recruiting went down. I wasn't developing any silvers, and I got stuck. And Brittany, I was with Brittany one day, and she was asking me about what felt hard. And it took me a while to uncover this, and she was asking me really great questions. But the root of this problem was that I was believing a lie, and the unintentional thought that came into my head, because we all have these unintentional thoughts, right? I'll never get there. I can't duplicate. This isn't for me. What if they say no? I can't do this. I allowed that to stay in my mind instead of taking the authority and using my responsibility to change that thought. That it camped out there, and then it affected everything, and including my results. And so she drilled down, she asked me questions. And one of the funniest questions that she asked me was, well, where did your points come from? You have over 2,000 points. Where did these come from? I was like, I don't know. I can't duplicate. I can't do anything. I'm an awful leader. And she helped redirect me. And she said, Michelle, what if you believe, where is this coming from? And you know where it came from? I was looking at one of my dearest friends, April, whose team was exploding, and she hit diamond, and I was comparing myself to her. Younger, bypassed me, flew by me, and that wasn't me. And it wounded my pride. And so I couldn't do anything because she did that. And so I was the dust of the earth. So she lovingly redirected me and said, what if you believed you could? What if you believed you had a team full of leaders? And so this is what I want you to get from that. I did, and I did the heavy lifting to say, I can duplicate. I can create strong leaders. I have what it takes. I am a sapphire. I am able to create. I am a strong leader. I attract and develop strong leaders. And that's where the pivot began. And then the next month, the next year, at the beginning of the year, because I was so focused, we're going to hit Sapphire, I asked Brittany on a Jewel coaching call, and Christina, what's the number one thing I need to be doing to hit Sapphire? Because I thought it was leadership development. And they said, no, it's recruiting, because your goal is to attract and develop business leaders, and you can't attract and develop that which you don't have. So I said, okay. I was coachable. And so I focused heavily on recruiting, not just for the sake of recruiting, but for the sake of developing business builders out of silvers. Hear that. The goal isn't just silver for silver's sake. It's silver to develop into business builders. So I got to work, because speed of the leaders, the speed of the team. My recruiting went up, my numbers went up, and then it took like a month or two, my numbers started to go up. And then guess what? All of a sudden, silver started coming in. And then guess what? My team is in incredible momentum. And in a period, I asked that question in February, and in June, we hit Sapphire. This is what I want you to get from that. You have to change your mind. If you want to change your business, change your mindset before you change your outcome. Do not accept that your feelings are belief. Get with your sponsor, get with someone who knows you to help uncover the mind trash, because that's where it all begins. 20% of this business is skill, 80% is mindset. So spend a lot of time on your mindset. The most successful people in this business have the highest belief. And that's my story. And you can see in my team, full-blown momentum. So change your mindset, change your life. Okay, enough about me. So let's talk about these amazing new jewels. And I will start with you, Emily. I'm so excited for you. can you give us a brief overview of your story, when you started and when you hit each rank and your emerald? Well, obviously you hit emerald last month.
I can do that. I can do that. Hey, y'all. Okay, I'm Emily, new Emerald Ambassador, and I'm not going to get tired of saying that, so you're probably going to hear it a lot. But my journey has been much longer than I think everybody on this call, but Brittany, and it's totally been worth it. That is my thing that I want to tell y'all tonight. It's been worth it. So I'm going to share my screen. I think, yes, share my screen. Okay, and I'm going to show y'all my points journey and my ranks. I'm going to give you a couple of, okay, so can y'all see that? Okay, so I joined in April of 2015 with full intention to be a diamond. Like, there was nothing else in my mind other than going to diamond. I did not join for the products. I really didn't think I needed vitamins, if we're being honest. But I knew I needed $50,000 a month. And so I said, let's go. Jumped in. I was not a quick starter by any stretch of the imagination. I went silver in July after joining in April. The following April, I hit gold. The following April, I hit senior gold, hit Ruby that same September, and then I sat at Ruby for 3.5 years. Hit senior Ruby in March of this year, and then just went Emerald last month. So I'm going to show y'all my points as well, because they're not linear, shall we say. They are definitely not linear. Okay, this is my point journey. As you can see, from the time I hit Ruby in September of 2017, I was not maintaining senior gold most of the time until I re-ranked Ruby in June of last year. So there was lots of things going on during that time in my brain, in Plexus, in our team, just lots of things going on. But I re-ranked in June of last year, dropped back down again, finally re-ranked again in February of this year, hit senior Ruby in March and Emerald in June. So the moral of that story is keep going. You never know who's going to join your team and when. And all the things happening during that up and down, if you let it, it will prepare you for when your points are going the way that you want them to go. So that is my point journey.
I love it. Thank you, Emily. Okay, Deirdre, what about you? I'll show your graph in a second.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great. So I just want to share, you can always overcome. There's always hope. No matter what, there's always hope. The lies will try to tell you that there's not, but it doesn't matter. And there is. That's the crux to what I learned. So my points, I actually joined, you can go ahead and show it, in January of 2018. I had 5 points, and I didn't go silver until June. 6 months. I was trying to remember, think back, and I literally had to go through my back office to remember. So I was not a quick starter either. And then after that, it took 5 months to go senior silver. And then 1 month later, I did go gold, finally found someone who wanted to share with me. And then it took 8 months to go senior gold. And then it took 9 months to go ruby. But then the next month I hit senior ruby. And then it took 1 year, literally 1 year to go emerald. My husband, when we hit emerald, he was like, babe, you remember you went senior ruby last year at this time? Like literally on the same date. And I was like, that's so cool. And so there's a lot that happen life-wise within that time frame. Michelle was just an amazing support through it all. Like, I don't know what I would have done without our amazing community, but yeah, everything's fixable. Everything is overcomeable, if that's even a word. And it's worth it. And when in doubt, pray, because the answer is always there. Always.
Yes, I love that. Okay, ladies, what are one or two of the most important lessons you've learned on your journey to Emerald?
I have a page full. I'll say, oh my gosh, there's so many. There's so many. Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. 100% of the time. This is not for everybody, and that is okay. And be okay with it not being okay with some people. That is a huge lesson. We tend to want to drag people because we get so emotionally invested, but we can't want this for people, y'all. They have to want it. People have to want it. They have to be hungry for change in their lives, and they have to make the decision, because no matter how bad you want it for somebody, if they don't make that decision, if they're not willing to dig in and do the hard work, personal growth is hard, y'all. There's some hard stuff there that you have to, realize about yourself and about all kind of things. But if they're not willing to dig in and do those things, nothing you can say or do is going to change that for them. They have to come to that decision. Celebrating others' win is always the best idea. It's always the best idea. I've been here a long time, right? Y'all saw my numbers. You saw where they were. Everybody I know passed me at some point, right? And it's okay, because we all have a journey. There's purpose in every one of our journeys. But here's what I know. If you can celebrate everybody that's around you and the wins that they're getting, that will come back to you at some point. That's just sowing and reaping, right? Celebrate them, be genuinely happy for them, and don't go to comparison mode, but instead let them inspire you and show you what's possible. Because if they're doing it, you can go do it. Just be really happy for people, like celebrate them. Leaders are born at events. Get your butt to the events. Y'all hear me say that all the time because I believe it so deeply. And then, the biggest thing, God is just good, y'all. So stinking good. And he has so much prepared for us that we cannot even wrap our minds around. So if you will dig into him, lean in hard, trust him, and just step out of your boat, your little comfort zone boat, trust him, and walk. Go do the things. If you're faithful in the little, I promise that he is faithful in the much. So that is a snippet of the page of lessons I have written
down. So mine is, that was really good, Emily. I was like, oh yeah, that one too, that one. So what I realized is through everything, and you'll get to hear a little bit of the story in a little bit, is that God designed our bodies to heal themselves, and we have incredible tools. My belief is probably way out in outer space. It is so high. Because I see the design that God created us for, and for the design of us having the full health of what he's called people to do, to be kingdom-minded advancers and changers. And so it's not about being easy. It's just not. We want it to be easy, but it's not about being easy. It's about becoming the person that makes life better. And it is worth it, because it's not only in your business, it affects in your family, friendships, your marriage, relationships, and just how you interact with the Lord. Like I can say I'm actually closer with him because there was no other place that I could get such depth of personal growth that would make me have to execute, not only learn, but then execute what I was learning. And that has been worth its weight in gold. So trust the process. It is worth it. Pruning can be scary, but it's worth it.
I love that, Deirdre. You've got such strength. I'm so excited for you. Okay, what was your biggest hurdle to overcome and how did you overcome it?
Well, probably my biggest overall was discipline. I have never been a fan. And y'all may have heard me say this, but I've always in my mind, discipline felt like a box that confined me. And if you know me, you know I do not like to be confined or told what to do or restricted. And that's what discipline felt like to me. But I kept hearing over and over and over, successful people are disciplined, successful people are disciplined. And well, I was hell bent to be successful. So guess what I had to be? Disciplined. And I had no idea where to start. So I grabbed the book Atomic Habits and it changed my life. If you have not read it, go order it right now. I have the book and the audio version, and I've been through it multiple times at this point. But I just was determined to be disciplined, and it didn't even start with my business, y'all. I chose working out, which is not something I've ever been a fan of either because I don't like to sweat. And I chose that, and I just picked something simple that I could do, which was 30 minutes, 5 days a week of just being active, right? Because I knew that if I could be disciplined in one area, that it would seep into other areas of my life because that's how discipline works. And so I took that book, I took the principles, I implemented them. That's the key part of reading these books, y'all, is the implementation of them. It doesn't matter what you read if you're not implementing it. And it really made a huge impact in my whole life over the past year. So I started that in January of 2020. And that really was the biggest game changer for me because it has a compound effect. It seeps into every other area of your life. And y'all, the biggest thing is it's a choice. It is a choice, and we have to make this choice every single day. And it's not an easy choice because discipline comes from doing the things every single day, whether you feel like it or whether you don't. And there's a lot of days that we don't feel like it, whatever it is, we just don't feel like it, but it's a choice every single day. And if you know where you're going, and I've always known where I was going, I didn't know how I was going to get there or how long it was going to take. But if you know where you're going, it really makes that choice much easier because you know that it's moving you toward your goal. So that has been my biggest hurdle for sure.
Mine is I'll share a little bit of this past year and why Michelle calls me strong. So in 2020, January 2020, I had to have 2 jaw surgeries. Well, this past year, 2 jaw surgeries, an emergency tooth extraction. We ended up getting a puppy in the middle of the surgeries that made my husband sick. We got worms from the puppy. Yes, gut health matters, y'all. And so he got it, I got it. And so I ended up having to take care of the kids by myself while recovering from a surgery. And then after the surgery, I still had these blinding headaches and swollenness so much I couldn't talk. And so these products literally sustained me. I learned how to use them to help fight a systemic infection that popped up during that time of just a really crazy amount of pain. And the doctors kept telling me, we don't know what's going on. We did what we knew to do. And so we don't know. We can keep doing all this other stuff, and nothing was working. And this was at the point when you saw in the points, I had hit that August. So back up from January 2020 and go to August of 2019, I was 150 points away from Emerald in that August period. And then I literally got like stopped in my tracks physically with all this stuff starting to just pop up and really hit me at the beginning of 2020. So what I learned was hard lessons that, things from like when you have like a hard pregnancy or your sickness and you literally can't do things. I didn't give up. I just became a lot more prayerful and intentional. And I just did not give up. When I was super sick, I focused on connecting and loving and being intentional with people. That's actually how Angela, who's on my team now, she went Ruby in 4 months and her team's on fire, but it's because I would pray. There would be times I literally could not do messages. There was so much pain. I couldn't think. I couldn't talk. So I couldn't leave voice memos or anything. And so I just would ask God who to love and who to add value to. And that's actually how we became really good friends, was through that really hard year. And so I think really understanding the season you're in, because I'm not talking about being too busy and having life and being overwhelmed, but I'm talking about like literal physical limitations where my 6 and my 3-year-old would have to go get food themselves because I literally couldn't get up and go get it for them. And so there's a difference between that being busy and literally things stopping you. And so I would get so frustrated. I'd text Michelle and be like, I'm not able to do IPA. I'm a horrible leader. I'm not doing well. And she would remind me, like, look at the season you're in, recognize what's going on. You just do what you can and keep putting each foot forward. So I knew that 80% of this business is mindset, 20% skill. Well, I wasn't able to really execute the 20%. So what I did was I could listen to books, I could read books, I could study, I could look at what weaknesses were actually holding me back. I'm not organized or scheduled a whole lot. I love being on the fly. And so I actually read books about that and started to implement them a little bit in our life. And what that did was it helped me shore up just weaknesses I had that actually bled over into all the other areas of my life and just started to make me a better person. And so because I focused so hard in that time on the 80%, when I was able to really plug in and go for the 20%, I was able to walk through the unintentional, those thoughts that come in that tell you can't do it, that you're afraid, that this isn't going to work, whatever the mental Rolodex of things that try to stop you from doing what you are called to do. Now I'm a lot faster. I'm able to process through, even with my kids, if stuff going on like today was nuts. And so I was able to really help get my mind through, focus, and be directional, intentional. And I never gave up. So death just wasn't an option for my health or my dreams. And I want you to hear that. You have to understand that when you give up, you're literally letting things die. And it took me going through such a hard season that I was not willing to let my health tank and keep going. So I researched, I started reading. When doctors told me they didn't have answers, well, I was going to go find them. And so I did. And so I went and read and figured it out. And so I did the same for my business. When I was stopped in one area, I went, I read, I figured out, and I connected a lot with Michelle. Like, we have an incredible community, and I had sidelines praying for me and people, and I was very quiet and intentional on Facebook because I wanted that to be a place of hope for when the time came when God gave me that release into the freedom of coming out of this really hard season, that I could release it and propel others into hope, because that is something that is really, really needed in these days and ages, and people are so hungry for it. And we have that answer, not only physically, financially, but also spiritually and emotionally, for just the culture we have and the ability to really lock into that personal growth. So that was my hardest time, was navigating that. But I just was so blessed by what Michelle would pour in. And here's the thing, I consistently ask for help all the time. You can ask Michelle. I text her. Now I get better at skill sets and different things, but that's one thing I am good at, is asking for help. And that helped me be able to move forward in a place that could have really just taken me out and stopped my business. So that's my thoughts on that.
I love that, Deirdre. And just to reiterate, Deirdre never had a month where she didn't recruit somebody. So don't think like if there was a day she couldn't send out a message, she sent out, 3 or 5 the next one. So don't hear that she didn't use her skills. It just wasn't at the, some days she couldn't, took her out. It wasn't at the rate that she wanted to. So she worked on the mind piece part. So it's not, she never stopped. Hear
Yes.
that. She never stopped. Okay. Strength. Okay. So we're over 9:30, but I want to say, what has this meant to your family? What have you invested, and has it been worth it?
This has meant so much to my family. I mean, Avery and Gentry at this point, they don't really remember, not having Plexus. They have been invested in this from the beginning. I always made it, a family thing, like something that we were working for. And it's turned into just what I had dreamed of. And I know that it's coming so much more, but the financial stress that's been lifted, even at the point we are now, I mean, we just hit Emerald. So it's not like we've been making 6 figures or anything like that. I mean, most of my journey was senior gold, level. So even that amount of income to Ruby income to senior Ruby income and now Emerald brand new income, it's changed everything for our family. I mean, we struggled majorly we struggled. And to have that weight being lifted, I just can't even put into words what that means. It's huge. And one thing that I hated when they were small is that I had to say no. I had to say no a lot, to a lot of things. And I love to go and do, and like adventure is my love language, and I want to do all the things, right? And so to not be able to go and do those things, or to take vacations and have to Google what can you do for free in Orlando and to plan your days around, what's free, that is a whole different experience than where we are now. It's just been a game changer for us financially, and that in turn has released a whole level of stress that you just can't put into words unless you've been, with that. But outside of that, what we've invested is time, obviously. I mean, I'm 6 years and some months into this now. So it's definitely been a time investment. There have been nights that, my kids went to bed early or they went to bed really late, because calls are a priority for me. And no matter where I was, where my points were, what was going on, I'm showing up. Like, I'm on calls. That's a priority. And so they know that. I mean, they know Mondays and Thursdays, nope, can't go, can't do whatever, mom's got calls, right? And so that has been an investment that's 100% worth it. Events and trips have definitely been an investment. Some people say a sacrifice. They at times were definitely a sacrifice financially for me to get to things, but I was getting to the things. First of all, I have major FOMO and I was not missing anything and letting people have fun without me. But I also knew the power and value of these events because sideline relationships are built at events. Um, the knowledge and leadership things and excitement and energy and belief that come from events is just invaluable. And not just Plexus events, but also outside things. I mean, we've gone to see John Maxwell, we've gone to see all kind of other things that were an investment into my business, but me personally, for my family, all of that. And I think maybe my favorite thing is showing my kids and even my husband like what is possible, because we can do it. Anything their little hearts can dream up. I tell them all the time. Gentry says, I want a Maserati, Mama. And I say, well, baby, go get it. Like, get to work and go get it, because you can do that. Anything that they can dream up is possible. And they're seeing it in action with what they see me do on a daily basis. And that just makes my heart want to explode. So the answer is 100% emphatically yes, it is worth it. Every single time, it is worth it. Every day.
That was awesome. I'm really inspired. Oh, so yeah, so we actually started when we were on food stamps and Medicaid. That's part of our cool story. And someone actually gave us $100 to get started, or gave us $100, and I used it to get started because I told my husband, if we don't change our health, nothing's going to change. And so as this has grown, I trusted the process, and you saw it was not fast. It was a nice, slow, steady, slow cooker. But with time and consistency, that compound, it just has been amazing. And so my kids, my dad, so their dad was working 3 jobs at one time, 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. And literally there was no more hours in the day for him to earn more. And we still weren't making enough because of the season we'd come out of anyways, that's our testimony. But so as we started to really focus and be intentional, and my husband has been such an amazing cheerleader in this all. And like Emily, we do it as a family. Like the girls got matching necklaces to me. That was there for waiting and being patient and just helping with the laundry or something. And so they got to develop work ethic and understand how to work as a team. And so definitely, throughout, I think probably my headspace has been the biggest sacrifice. But what we've been able to gain, what I've learned, it has just been so amazing. And financially, I mean, who would have known 3 years ago? So we move, I've been working on this business, and come the end of this year, both of my husband's jobs will be ending. Again, that could have potentially put us back where we were with the Medicaids and food stamps. I'm not saying that would happen. But you just never know what life will throw at you. And God already saw this, and he told me to start the business, and I trusted him, even though it was really, really hard with, different things happening. But what I found was that everything's overcomable, and he is faithful to complete what he starts. And that is the verse that I have stood on this whole time. And I would tell him, if I watch my points go backwards, if we had things come up and I couldn't do it the way I wanted, or we were really struggling, or I'm struggling, or mindset, I would just call that forth and say, you are faithful, God, to complete what you start. And I would stand on that and continue to do the things daily. And so what it's meant to our family is that their dad gets to come home. He gets to retire. And his dream for decades being a pastor has been to start his own home church. And now he is being released and we have the finances to be able to do that. And so he worked his butt off to provide for us. So to be able to flip it around and help him do the dream that he has had in his heart for the girls to have their dad come home and not see him just a couple hours a day, has been phenomenal. Just that time freedom is it's real. It's real, people. It is amazing. And all the things, like Emily was saying, being able to tell your kids, yes, we can do this. Yes, it's amazing. Like, let's thank God for all this amazing. We thank God for Plexus. We're like, thank you, God. And so it's just the benefits have been amazing. And this is the right company, the right time with the right products. It's life-changing, physically, financially. Don't discount anyone from what they look like, where they're at, because you never know. Michelle got me with the 3 people. I wasn't thinking about the business, but she was like, hey, 3 people. And I was like, tell me more, because I need to get these babies paid for. And look where we are. So praise Jesus.
Okay, so in one sentence, what advice, your parting words, what's your one piece of advice for our team?
Oh, you didn't tell me one sentence, Michelle.
I know, but it's 9:42, so there.
One sentence.
Okay, 2.
Add value to yourself so you can add value to others, and simply refuse to quit.
I love it.
I want you to look in my eyes. You can do this. You can do this. I'm going to add a third sentence. It's worth it. 1,000%.
Okay, I'm gonna go cry now. You can do this. You can do this, people. Thank you, Deirdre and Emily, because you've just paved the way for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people to realize their dreams. So I'm going to stop the recording.